Okay, let's unpack this. Welcome back to the deep dive.
Good to be here.
Today we're diving into something pretty fascinating, a shift, really, that's happening in the world of science.
You're talking about Western researchers heading to China.
Exactly. Prominent ones, some really big names, taking positions at Chinese universities, making these, well, significant moves.
It's definitely a trend worth watching.
Yeah.
And it's complex, you know?
Yeah.
Lots of different reasons driving it.
For sure. Our main source for this deep dive is a really insightful piece in The Economist, just out May 24th, 2025. Gives a great snapshot.
Yeah, it lays things out pretty clearly.
So our mission today, figure out who's going, why they're going, what China's angle is here, their strategy, and what this all could mean for global science, for innovation. It gets really interesting when you dig in.
It really does, because it's not just one simple narrative, lots of nuances.
Okay, let's start with some names the article mentions, just to, show the scope right away.
Yep.
You've got someone like Charles Lieber, former Harvard chemist, had those legal troubles in the U.S.
Right.
The article says he just took a post at Tsinghua University's Shenzhen campus. That was April 28th, just last month.
And the article uses that phrase, looking for a perch, potentially.
Yeah, suggesting his circumstances were, let's say, complicated in the West.
Definitely. His case is maybe a bit unique because of that whole legal situation the article outlines.
True. But, and this is key, the article stresses it's not just cases like Lieber's. There are others moving seemingly out of, well, pure choice, opportunity.
Exactly. Like Gerard Mourou.
The French physicist, Nobel Prize winner.
That's him. He's joined Peking University. And then there's Kenji Fukaya, a top Japanese mathematician.
Wow. He's going to Tsinghua.
Highly decorated. So these are, real leaders in their fields, not just academics, but stars.
And it's not just the very senior people either, right? The article mentions younger researchers, too.
That's a crucial point. It highlights Alex Lam, an AI researcher.
AI, okay, so cutting-edge field.
Right. Leaving Microsoft in New York just this month, apparently, for Tsinghua's new AI college.
That's a pretty big statement. Someone earlier mid-career in AI making that leap. Does the article say why?
It actually quotes him. Lam apparently said something like, he thinks Tsinghua is a very good university, and that the undergrads there are extremely strong. Plus, their ability to get top graduate students is, quote, rapidly improving.
So he sees real quality and momentum there. That's telling, coming from someone making the move.
Definitely speaks to the perception, doesn't it? Now, there's context here, too, which the article includes.
Which is?
That these Western scholars are sort of joining a wave. There's already been a flow of leading scientists of Chinese heritage moving back from the West.
Oh, right. I remember reading about that. Like Sun Song, the mathematician from Berkeley.
Exactly. Moved to Zhejiang University. So that returning scientist trend has been noted for a while.
But this article's point is
that it's broadening out now. It's clearly going beyond academics with Chinese heritage. You're seeing non-Chinese Westerners, other international researchers.
Which suggests something bigger might be underway.
Precisely. And that leads us right into China's strategy in all this. What's their perspective?
Okay, yeah. What does the article say about Beijing's goal?
Well, it cites analysis from the Merrick's think tank, Jeroen Groenewegen and Antonia Hamady.
And what's their take?
They make this really striking comparison. They say, talent is becoming as important a core goal of central planning to Beijing as workers were under Mao.
Wow. That puts it in perspective. Talent as a core national resource like later used to be.
Exactly. It shows how high up the agenda this is. And the article mentions specific goals China set back in 2021.
Hard targets.
Seems like it. Attract global talent aggressively by 2030, and then become the top destination for global talent by 2035.
Ambitious.
Oh,
Very
God.
ambitious. So how are they actually doing it? What's the recruitment strategy look like on the ground?
The article suggests a two-pronged approach, mainly. They're targeting a small number of very senior, high-profile researchers, the Morris, the Nobel winners.
Okay, the big fish.
Right. And then a larger group of early career people. The article calls them bright sparks, like Alex Lam, the AI guy.
So hitting both ends of the spectrum, established leaders and rising stars.
That seems to be the idea. And it's not just happening quietly. The article notes a big Communist Party meeting in 2024 specifically reinforced this.
What did they say?
Called for refocused efforts to attract foreign scholars and making it easier logistically for skilled people to move there, visas, permits, that sort of thing.
So policy backing up the ambition.
Absolutely. And universities are playing their part too, promoting national scholarship funds for foreigners funds set up back in 2021.
So a coordinated push, top-down support, funding, institutional effort.
Looks that way. It's a deliberate strategy.
Okay, so China's actively pulling. But the article also explores the other side factors in the West, especially the U.S., that might be, well, pushing scientists out.
Yeah, this is the other really crucial part of the story. The article brings in Yu Shi. He's a sociologist at Princeton.
And his view is?
He suggests that the prospect of President Trump being reelected has made more Western scholars start looking east, consider China as an option.
So a direct link to the political climate. What's the background there from the previous term?
Well, the article reminds us about the Justice Department investigations during Trump's first term, targeting researchers with links to China.
Right, the China Initiative. Lieber was caught up in that, wasn't he?
He was. And the article notes that even though a lot of those cases eventually failed or were dropped,
they still had an impact.
the big one, created what the article calls a chilling effect across academia. Researchers felt targeted, maybe hesitant about collaboration.
That makes sense. Uncertainty isn't great for science.
Not at all. And Yushi's research, cited in the article, found that over half of Chinese and Chinese-American scientists in the U.S. actually thought about leaving back then.
Over half. Wow.
Yeah. And he estimates maybe a few hundred did actually leave.
And the article suggests this time the concerns might be broader, something beyond just investigations.
It talks about a potential broader shattered. For instance, reports of proposed budget cuts to government science funding. Big ones.
Oh.
The figure mentioned is potentially $23 billion in cuts for the next fiscal year.
Ouch. That would hit research hard.
Hugely. And then there's also what the article describes as a sort of campaign against higher education itself, challenging academic independence.
How so?
By, as the article puts it, sometimes holding federal grants hostage to other agendas, creates pressure, uncertainty.
So it's a mix of potential funding instability and maybe a less supportive political atmosphere for academia.
That seems to be the picture the article paints. And, it also notes that China's state media has definitely jumped on this.
Wow.
They've been, quote, crowing that uncertainty in the U.S. is making scientists lose confidence in building careers there, framing it as an opportunity for China, obviously.
And those funding cuts, if they happen, must create real practical problems for researchers.
Oh, absolutely. Long-term projects need stable funding. The article says these kinds of cuts force scientists into really difficult trade-offs.
Making well-funded positions elsewhere look more appealing.
Exactly. Especially if the funding seems more stable and the support structures are strong.
Now, China is obviously a major destination, but the article does point out it's not the only alternative, right?
Good point. No, disaffected scientists have other options. The competition is global.
Like where?
Well, the EU, for example. The article mentions they made an offer just recently, May 5th, pledged $500 million, that's over $500 million US, specifically to court these researchers.
So Europe is actively competing for this talent pool, too.
Definitely. Everyone wants the best minds.
And all this is happening, as the article kind of reminds us, while the innovation gap between the U.S. and China has been shrinking anyway.
Right. Which just makes the movement of top talent even more consequential, for the global balance of R&D power.
Okay, so let's try and pull this all together. What's the main takeaway from this deep dive?
Well, you've clearly got China pursuing a very deliberate, well-resourced strategy. They want global talent, they've set targets, they're providing incentives. That's the pull.
And on the other side?
You have factors in the West, particularly the U.S., according to the article, things like the political climate, the chilling effect from past investigations, and crucially, the current uncertainty around research funding and academic freedom. These act as push factors for some.
Making a move east seem, well, feasible or even attractive for certain researchers.
Exactly. It's that interplay, the push and the pull working together.
And the really significant finding, maybe, is that this isn't just about ethnic Chinese scientists returning anymore.
Right. The article makes a strong case that the trend is broadening. It's affecting a wider group of international researchers.
That does feel like a shift, a potentially major one.
It has implications, for sure.
It really paints a picture of a scientific landscape that's, well, in flux, dynamic. So maybe the thought to leave you, the listener, with is this. Given this global scramble for talent and these shifting investments in science, what do you think the long-term consequences might be if this trend continues, this, well, call it brain drain or talent circulation? What does it mean for where the next big breakthroughs happen? What stands out most to you about this whole situation?